I see y'all bitch ass. Oh fuck. I see y'all bitch ass looking at me. Ow!
This is 8-Ball, my piece of garbage 65 Mustang that we just supercharged. In this video, I'm gonna make it much more drivable by fixing suspension and brakes, and we're also gonna make it faster. So let's get to work. Hey, tell your mom to call me back too.
Motherfucker.
In a minute. I should probably fix this first, but I won't. We got our work cut out for us. I just realized how much damage I did to the car in the intro. Dude, I just like walloped the door in 4 different places. Damn, dude, that looks terrible! First course of action, suspension and brakes. Our good buddy JB owns B&H Restorations in Pennsylvania, and he took all this stuff off of a customer's 65 Mustang. You might say, Tom, that stuff doesn't quite look new. That's because it's not. But it's much newer than the 59-year-old crap on the car, and it has 4-piston disc brakes. 2! I'd like to just drop all the suspension out at once, but it's not that easy. Steering linkage partially off. Steering disconnected from the chassis. Sway bars. I hate old cotter pins. They suck. Strut rods. Lower control arm bolts. Stupid design. Who puts a bolt in the back way when you can't get it out? Look at that. Wow. Look at Tom thinking with his head and his brain at the same time. Boom. I've now removed all of the bolts that are going to cause the lower suspension, including the spindles and brakes, to just fall on the floor. So I'm going to hit it with a hammer until it does. There's one side. This side's tight.
What
Done.
the fuck, my nigga?
Goodbye. My reps in for today. A little bit of tension on those. I accidentally forgot to unbolt the bottom of the shocks, and in order to get the spring compressor in, the shocks have to be out, so I cut them in half. Scared of me? You scared of me?
Yeah, I don't trust your athletic abilities.
This is an internal spring compressor. It is required for removing stupid springs. So I'm gonna put the bottom portion in, like so. Bottom goes on, kind of like so. Hey camera, you wanna hold that? Uh-oh. Try it again. Last piece to the puzzle are these upper control arm bolts that we had to tighten 2 videos ago. They are the last thing holding the suspension in, and now they're out. So hopefully I can come in here and just pull this ticking time bomb out, which I'm a little scared of, I'll admit. Woo, everybody steer very clear of that. Let me loosen this up. Good. And this side is ready to come out now. Bye-bye. No, it's not rusty. No, the car's not rusty. This is not frame rail. The factory suspension is officially gone. So now let's start installing the new stuff. New stuff. Starting with the upper control arms. It's been 2 hours since the last shot, and we've been fighting with the upper control arms. The problem is, these bolts that hold them in, you tighten them from the engine bay, and these splines are supposed to hold them in there without spinning. But the problem is the splines are stripped out, so it spins, and it's basically impossible to install. So what we're doing right now, getting them tight and welding them solid so they can't spin. That, right there, check it out. Not spinning anymore. Problem solved. Take 2. I put an eyeball amount of shims in here because when I took it off, there was an alarming amount of shims. So I put like, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch worth of shims behind this control arm.
Fucking
I think it's gonna be perfect. And tight. Control arm number 2 installed. Lower control arms. I'm putting the bolts in the right direction this time, so they don't need cut. These strut rods appear to be in the same condition as the other ones, but the bushings are new, so that's cool. I'm leaving everything loose right now, and I'm just gonna kind of install it all finger tight, and then I'll go through and actually tighten it all. Sway bar and links. New springs. I'm hoping they're not lower, but I do think they're 1-inch lowering springs. Good thing about them is, I don't need the spring compressor. I can just toss them up in here and not absolutely hate my life. Just like that. You guys want to know a secret? For the last hour, cameraman and I have been using the spring compressor on the stock springs and couldn't get them in. The spring compressor kept coming loose, springs wouldn't fit, couldn't compress them enough, so I'm using these ones. I really didn't want lowering springs, but hey, I also didn't want to break my fingers with a spring compressor or have an anger stroke. Brakes and spindles. 2. Time for some tightening. Spindle on. Strut rods. Tight. And sway bar. Lower control arm. And brake line. And clipped. And driver's side is done too. Now I'm gonna compress the suspension a little bit to install the shocks. That should be good. It's a new day, and today we're starting off with steering. I made this discovery that the steering linkage that came with the new parts is for a 6-cylinder, not an 8-cylinder, and we can't use it. So I went ahead and just bought new tie rods for my existing steering setup. I picked them up this morning, and after installing them, found out that one of them was wrong. So I'm using one bad tie rod. Hopefully the wheels stay straight. So I'm just gonna toss these in along with the factory steering and hope that it doesn't try to kill me again. It's gonna be better, at the very least. I'm gonna put the used tie rod on the passenger side so it'll pull me off the road instead of into traffic. I'm gonna bleed the brakes real quick. Down, down, up. Now, we can toss the wheels back on. I'm very excited right now. Maybe this car will drive a little better, maybe, possibly. And they still fit. I'm leaving the stupid wheel locks off right now because we're probably gonna have to take these back off. I can now see that my eyeball tie rod adjustment is completely off. The alignment is screwed. So let me a little better. Then we'll put it on the ground. One more turn. Now let's put it on the ground. I'm gonna admit, I'm a bit worried that we've messed up our beautiful 70s stance by putting those probably lowering springs in it. They were shorter. I don't want this thing to have a rake, but it might have a rake. It's got a rake now. I don't hate it. I'll be real with you, I don't hate it. What you think, Doug?
It looks pretty, like from here, it looks pretty metal.
I was scared of the rake, but I don't hate the rake. After some finagling with the alignment plates, we are towed in about an 1/8 inch. I'm sure it's gonna become cattywampus once we take it out on a test drive, but for right now, this probably won't kill us. You guys remember at the beginning of this video when I said we were gonna make the car faster? Let's do that right now. For starters, I got a nice thick aluminum radiator that'll help keep this thing cool, and I need to fix the fan because I installed it wrong. Also, I installed that electric fuel pump completely wrong. It's too high up and too far up, but I'm probably gonna ignore that and install the fuel pressure regulator that I forgot to put in. And I might have also splurged just a little bit so we can dial in the timing curve exactly how we want to. This is an MSD Pro billet distributor, and I have this MSD box that was laying around on my parts shelf, so that is gonna help sparklate this thing properly. And speaking of those, I got some colder spark plugs. I'm hoping I can reuse the coolant, but I know it's gonna go all over the floor. Perfect aim! Leaving the cap on. That stream is perfect. Look at that stream! Look at the car's prostate, it's good. Radiator hose, out. Oh! First immediate problem. This is for an automatic transmission, meaning it has transmission cooler holes and didn't come with plugs. So I'm gonna take these brake line fittings and weld them shut and use them as plugs. Those look perfectly modified to me. Look at that. I was also made aware in the last video that I installed the fan wrong. I installed it as a push fan and did not flip the blade around to properly push the air. So let's do that. You're supposed to clap. Yay. Because I used the fan clips when we installed the fan on that radiator, now I'm resorting to zip ties and washers. Worked basically the same. You just gotta stick them through, pull them through. Now what we do on the back side is take our washer, slide it on, and take another zip tie, slide it on, boom, get it nice and tight. Look at that. In goes the rad with the new fan. Damn, this thing almost doesn't fit. Install. This flexible radiator hose will help with our routing problem. Because if you see, it is running through a very tight area, and that was gonna rub a hole in the old hose, so this should be pretty good. Hopefully that doesn't leak. It might. All the comments were talking about how the fuel pump should not be so high up and how it should also be really close to the tank. But I'm not running that kind of fuel line, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. And I'll put the MSD box here. Regulator, mounted. And hooked up. MSD box. I'm tying the MSD box into the fuel pump circuit just so I have to do less wiring and it'll turn on with the switch. All right, literally 2 hours later, you can see it's getting dark out. We have the MSD box all wired in. I put a new coil in it that does not require this external resistor. All we gotta do now is plop in the new distributor, get it dialed right, put coolant in it, and go for a spin.
He's excited. I'd be excited too, boy.
This is gonna look really good in there. The instructions are on the box. And it's in picture form. It's really easy for me to read. Directions. Directions. Now the reason this distributor is so awesome is that I have tuning capabilities with these springs and bushings. I can adjust both the timing curve, so basically when the timing changes and when it maxes out, and how many degrees I want that timing to be, just by changing the springs and bushings. So I've done some research and I've looked at lots of forums and I've decided the combination of springs and bushings I'm gonna use for this distributor. Now here we have all of these different graphs that explain the potential timing curves and max timing based off of the springs you use and the bushings you use. So what I would like to do is have a max of 23 degrees timing. I think that's safe. And I also like this timing curve because I think full boost is going to kick in around 3,000 RPM. So what I'm going to do is put one silver and one blue spring in, and I'm going to use the green bushing. Off comes the cap. Boop. Set that aside. And then I can take this off as well. I also did drop the MSD box on the ground twice. There's a chance it doesn't work. Where does that bushing go? Off comes the retaining nut for the bushing, and off comes the little washer. This is incredibly nerve-wracking, by the way. Now the bushing will pop out. There it is. There's a blue one right there. We're gonna go for the green one. Toss that one in there. Good thing I got little crack fingers. Yes! Got it on there. Dude, if I can get this in, imagine what I could do to your mom.
Say you're sorry. Sorry. Thank you.
And the bushing is in. That was scary. I'm gonna try not to just fling these springs across the shop when I get them off. Yeah, I'm definitely flinging this across the shop. One heavy silver spring comes off. One light silver spring goes on. We're looking good there. One silver spring. Now for one blue spring. This is a blue spring. Boom. Whew, that's gonna go flying somewhere. And pop that on. Check me out, dude. Now I'm gonna put this thing back together. Rotor back on. Take the cap, set it aside for right now. We'll pop out this old distributor. Out comes the Dizzy. Let's make sure the gears are the same. Eyeball gauge says perfect. I'm gonna count them now. I've confirmed that the new distributor is exactly like the old one as far as gears go, so I'm gonna load this up with assembly lube. I'm gonna toss it in. By the way, MSD, This assembly lube smells like cinnamon. It's delicious. I really want to eat some. It can lube my assembly. Tastes like cinnamon. Yo, call your mom. Get it? Right? Josh,
Yo.
am I right?
Stop.
Cameraman?
It's like a slight, like hint of spiciness.
You know, like cinnamon?
Nigga, what?
It actually kind of tastes like those like hard candies, like those cinnamon, like, and then it doesn't.
Bro, yeah, they actually use it to make hot tamales.
Should we call 911 now? Or after he starts hemorrhaging?
Josh is bleeding from his eyes.
That's good stuff. We were definitely rich before.
Does that taste like cinnamon?
I can still taste it.
We have now got it at top dead center. So I'm gonna pop this thing in. Booyah, baby! We are at plug number 1. Now what I'm gonna do is just swap the plug wires off of the old one onto the new one while it's right here. Ooh, and they are not quite the right wires at all. I got lucky. We ended up having wires that'll work on the parts shelf. Yet again, it saved us. Now we are fighting with the spark plugs, which I used in Impact to install the other day, and I'm now regretting it because they're impossible to
He look happy than a bitch. Saved his ass.
28 thousandths. After a lot of fighting, the plugs are in, so now I'm just putting the wires on. And on. Last step before fire up, reinstall the coolant. Is it going in? I can't really see. Yeah. Lower it down. Do not see any leaks. We definitely are gonna need more coolant because it's a bigger radiator. Okay, mental check. Coils in, tight, hooked up, MSD box plugged in, hooked up, battery on. This little terminal for the starter wire is being a little dumb, so it might not start. All right, I'll man the gas. Ready? Hit the key. You ready? Go for it. No spark. Cool. Well, turns out the MSD box that I pulled off the parts shelf in unknown condition and then proceeded to drop twice before installing it does not work. So tomorrow I'm gonna toss on the new MSD box and we're gonna hear this thing fire up. And then we're gonna ride it. But that's tomorrow. Really disappointing. It is the next day. I found an MSD box yet again on the parts shelf that I know works. I wired it in, and also, if you didn't notice, we fixed the ignition switch off camera so the car cranks from the inside. So, let's fire this thing up. Declan, fuel pump please. Accessory please. Again. Again. So now what I need to do is adjust the fuel pressure regulator. The fuel pressure is way too high. We're gonna go for a spin. I've adjusted the fuel pressure regulator. I'm gonna take off the timing light because the timing looks good. And then once we fire it back up, we're just gonna let it run, let the coolant burp, and adjust the fuel pressure, get her dialed. Alright, well, we got a little bit of work to do. It appears it's still running a tad lean. I don't want to drive it yet. So I'm going to adjust the enrichment circuit for idle, and then I might play with the jets a little bit before we go out and really drive it. I don't want to blow this up, because I just spent $300 on a distributor. Okay, now's not the time to blow it up. Our O2 sensor, because I just fattened it up so much it was making my eyes burn, and the air fuel gauge reads mega lean, like 20 to 1 AFR, whatever the right terminology is. It's maxed out for leanness, and I just made it so rich it burned my eyes, which means that AFR gauge is not accurate. I'm kind of thinking we drove it around super rich that first test drive, and it might have gummed up the O2 sensor. So what I'm gonna do is ignore it, because now I know that the timing's right, and I'm gonna say it's probably rich. It's probably too rich, and I want to drive it. So we're gonna go on a little drive. I want to feel my brakes and suspension, see if I improved it. Ignoring all the problems because I want to drive. Boom. But I know it's rich. I can smell it. It's burning my eyes. All right, brake test. Oh, the brakes work so good! High five, dude! We got brakes. Okay, this thing is not gonna kill me from stopping. That's actually good. That's a good successful moment right there. Oh, it stops so good now. Feel those brakes? Honestly, the alignment is not bad. It's not nearly as scary. What do you think? Should I ignore the fact that it's possibly running lean and do another pull? Yeah? Yeah, you said yes? Viewer, you said yes, okay?
I want one.
Broke up a little bit, but it was also wheel hopping super bad. It definitely feels more powerful. I hear that fuel pump just screaming for dear life. Let me hop out and check that real quick. The really good thing about this video is that this car feels so much safer. It drives straight, it does not pull me all over the road, and it stops so nice. Ready!
Definitely runs better.
It's quicker, that's for sure. I mean, it's still a stock 302 with a tiny supercharger on it, but it does run better. It's got more torque. Hell yeah! My eyeball alignment, I'm off the wheel. It's pulling to the right just a smidge, just a touch. Honestly, no. It goes where I want it to. Dude, eyeball alignment, baby. Feels pretty decent, to be honest with you. Dude, we are like 8 minutes into the first real cruise. It's driving so much nicer now. It's not scary, I'm not death gripping it. It stops straight. This is awesome. The car is actually enjoyable right now. So I got the blow by. What do you think? You think it's gonna blow up soon?
Ah, it's fine.
I think this thing's gonna hold together, dude. It's not that fast, I'll tell you right now. It is not that fast, but it runs all right. You think it'll do a burnout? You think it will? I think it will. It's way stronger. When you just drop a gear like that, it's not fast. Trust me, it's not fast. But it runs better, it's quicker than it was, and it has way more torque than it did last time. We should test something real quick. I say we do a quick little test. That was respectable, honestly. All right, we should go. Come on, cameraman. Horrific.
So Fast and Furious scenes.
That was all wheel hop.
Well, I fuck with what you doing, my boy. Oh God, my nigga.